first. Did Joe Biden suffer acuity decline during his 4 years in office?
Yeah.
Eric.
Extreme. Not,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Batya, did people around Joe Biden work to try to minimize the public's awareness of his acuity decline? Yes or no? Eric.
100%. Yes.
Okay. Was one of the people naturally, inescapably involved with that, the guy who was the president's doctor at the White House all 4 years? Would he have had to have been involved in those efforts on some level?
Yeah.
Eric.
Yes.
Okay. Was the information released by the Biden White House about the president's physical and his general health on the face of it incomplete?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We all agree. So this week, the president's doctor, Joe Biden's doctor, is subpoenaed to come before a committee in Capitol Hill led by the Republicans. And he says, I'm not going to answer your questions because of the Fifth Amendment right to not self-incriminate and because of doctor-patient confidentiality. This story is barely covered by the media. Now, I know part of the reason why some of the media won't cover it, but even the conservative media. This to me was a massive moment in a serious reckoning that might take place, not to embarrass Joe Biden, not to violate his privacy as a patient, but to make sure that the country never again, the media and the politicians, never again sit back and allow the country to be put at risk by someone in the job suffering an acuity decline. Eric, what am I missing? Why is there not, in the wake of the guy taking the fifth, why is there not a massive national uproar over this?
Well, because the vast majority of the national media leans left or center left. And I'll give you a great example. Jake Tapper, 4 years, excoriated Lara Trump, defended Joe Biden's mental acuity. Even Joe Scarborough did the same thing. And in hindsight, these people, Tapper's going to write a book saying that we screwed up. Well, you were the prime reason the left-wing media lied to the American people to hide Joe Biden's demise. So they clearly the left-wing media, there's nothing in their narrative that they want to show that Joe Biden, they were wrong. They lied for 4 years. They were covering up. So they have an interest to not tell the story. On the right, I think we do tell the story, and we do it the best we can. Here's the issue, though. You can't change it. There's nothing you can do about the HIPAA law that allows a doctor to not expose the ailments of his patient. And we all know politicians lie. They lie up and down, left and right, down the middle. Everyone lies. They all lie. Their mouth is moving, they're lying. And then their handlers are lying. And yes, they did cover up. But guess what? I'm pretty sure Donald Trump isn't like 6'3", 204 pounds. But that's what they kind of say after those health exams.
He needs the Bolling diet.
This is true. I don't know. It's pretty severe. Yeah.
Batya, I'm confused because Eric's right that the press was complicit. And shamelessly, people are now saying, oh my God, look at this cover up that we sat silently when it was all happening on C-SPAN. But the press now seems bought into the notion that there was a cover up. Here's the doctor who, just to give one example, either he gave the guy a cancer screening and lied about the results and lied about whether they did it, or he should lose his medical license for not giving the president of the United States a cancer screening. Like, this seems pretty basic. And the press seems now to, because of these books, and so what some Democratic politicians have said, the press now seems open to the story that there was an attempt to cover it up. So why isn't there an aggressive reporting to say, how can this doctor refuse to tell the truth even now?
It's a really good question. I don't have the answer. I do have a question for you guys, which is, he took the fifth, which suggests he thinks he may have committed a crime. What was the crime that he would have committed?
I can't even invent one. Now, they say, that President Trump has ordered there to be an investigation. So maybe out of an abundance of caution, but I don't know what law could have been broken. Eric, do you have any idea what law could have been broken?
No, he uses the Fifth Amendment to not test. It's also, if you perceive, if the individual, the subject, the citizen, constitutional right, you have the constitutional right not to answer if you perceive there could be a threat against yourself because of what you testified. And all he did was he just put the shield up that he knew you could hide behind as far as not testifying. Guess what? No one's going to be able to get what actually happened behind closed doors or his test results unless the doctor decides to break the HIPAA rule, at which point he would lose his medical license anyway.
You think we'll ever hear from this guy? There's some dispute about whether HIPAA applies in this case in every question.
Why? How could it not? How could it not?
Because he's under congressional subpoena.
Yeah, okay.
Right, like to me, this should be
Still.
treated like refusing the subpoena because there's no crime he's being accused of. So by what right does he invoke the Fifth Amendment? There's no self-incrimination here. So that to me, this should read like a refusal. I don't know why he's being allowed to skate on this.